But yesterday, Coach Elko, Marcel Reed, Damian Sanford, Marcus Ratcliffe took over at SEC Media Days. Coach Elko gets up there. Now look, the things that caught my attention from Elko, some was the main podium, some was the E-room, some was his pre-meeting with the media before he went through the car wash. Some, he went on the Paul Feinbaum show. Elko did it all between like noon and 4:30, 5 o'clock yesterday. If you had a mic and you wanted to talk Aggie football, Coach Elko said, "You're my Huckleberry." He had a good time. So yesterday, somewhere from SEC Media Days, Coach Elko kicked things off main room, and as usual, by complimenting others. He said it's an exciting time to be a part of A&M's community, both on and off the field. He mentioned the new president. He mentioned A&M University, 150th anniversary, and that A&M will celebrate football. Aggie football will celebrate that 150th anniversary at the Arkansas game. So we'll see what event. We'll see if it's, is that going to be the blackout, the 150th out, what uniform ceremony, just what will be planned, but it will be for the Arkansas game. One of the things Coach Elko at Signature Forum, and it doesn't matter, SEC Media Day, his Monday weekly press conference, Wednesdays, don't know what it'll be this year, but the Coach Elko radio show, Aggie Football Hour, actual title, but he always congrats. He always has a congrats. And of course, he took the time, gave the congrats out to the Natties of the past year. So that means Aggie volleyball at SEC Media Days gets the Elko congrats and women's tennis. Because that's who he is. Because Coach Elko, we've had A&M coaches that I don't think could point out where the athletic department offices are. But Coach Elko, A&M athletics, A&M athletic community, always has been. If you pay attention during the course of the year, you'll see him out. He's out at Aggie baseball. He's out at Aggie softball. He's out at Aggie basketball. So he doesn't just say, "Hey, how awesome was this?" You'll see him out there supporting. You know how much it means if you're these other sports and there's the head football coach sitting in the stands. There's the head football coach giving the shout out, supporting. It's everything. It's everything. And that's who he is. And at SEC Media Days, he shouted out the national champions of the past year in front of all that media, national, regional, everyone. Huge. Huge. Now, what did he say about Aggie football 2026? He had two of the every single media person there retweeted, put in an article, headline, absolute mic drop moments. One I shared because it started making the rounds right as we went off the air yesterday, but he was asked if the Aggies had arrived, and quote, "No, you can't say we've arrived. We haven't won anything." And that's the no nonsense. That's the business. That's the reality side of him. Asked if the Aggies have arrived. No, you can't say we've arrived. We haven't won anything. And that tied into, I was talking about that huge, and was it CBS Sports article? I told you to check out if you wanted to, where the guy was putting forth that A&M and Texas have proved the state can have two flagships. And it tied into, since I got here, fall of 87, that there's a theory that's pretty much true if you look at history. But A&M and Texas football both can't be like top 10 at the same time. They both can't be contenders at the same time. I think NIL/portal, i.e. free agency, may have destroyed that. The paradigm. There's been a shift. I think that thought concept, that thing, might not exist anymore. The past 2 years, I believe, have given us an opportunity to look at that and reevaluate that. And both programs this year and last year, that statement, both were contenders. Texas lost to Florida, inexcusable, or else they'd have been in, and A&M at the same time. 12-team playoff, not 4. That world has changed. The parameters for the concept to be true have changed. Can they both make the CFP this year? If you don't make the CFP, and it's 12, it's not 4. You don't have to play in a conference title game. You just have to make the CFP. Anyway, Elko, he would tell you, no, we haven't won anything. His other statement, that might be a t-shirt. His other statement, every Twitter, every X, every social, bulletin boards, the whole world, all media gathered, which remember, there's like 2,000 there. I exaggerated, but the whole world is there. He was asked, how do you motivate players? / how do you stop them from being satisfied, which equals complacent? And this is another Elko mic drop. Elko stands on business. This is, who he is. How do you stop them from being satisfied? How do you motivate them? I show him our trophy case and it's empty. See, he doesn't need a 10-minute, diatribe. He doesn't have to convolute to the point where you forget what the original question is. He doesn't have to talk about mountaintops and llamas. No. I show him our trophy case and it's empty. Asked how he keeps his players from being satisfied coming off their first ever CFP. Because remember something. 11 wins, first ever CFP hosted. And you could have a problem where players are like, yeah. And you could spend an off season on your laurels and being happy and satisfied and losing. The SEC is so competitive. If you lost one step of hunger, one, that's enough to lose a win or two and you're not back in the CFP, right? I show them our trophy case and it's empty. So Mike Elko, 2 mic drops, more like the 2 things every single gathered media member requoted, retweeted. But to me, that's who he is. That's the business side. That's the whole, and I'm sure maybe he does state it that bluntly to the players, but yeah, he does, or else he wouldn't have said it publicly. And that's the business. Treat the job of being a paid college athlete. The expectation is clear. There's no misunderstanding. And I'm sure he doesn't sit there and go, y'all sucked. We only won 11, but the job is not done. We want more, and so do you. I love it. I absolutely love it. He had another quote in there. It's not on the S tier of those 2. I don't know what would make us think we arrived. Make us. Not fan, not media, but us, the program. I don't know what would make us think we arrived. We're building to become the program we're capable of being. Now remember, 11 in CFP. Building to be the program. So what's left? Obvious, winning in the CFP, winning a natty. Always been clear about the goal. Always been clear about the absolute goal. I don't know what would make us think we've arrived. So he spoke to the bottom line of arriving. Haven't won anything. How do you not be satisfied? Look at the trophy case. I don't know what would make us think we've arrived. So he is simple. The mission is clear. Only one. And it's natty. It's to win the final one. And what's interesting about the concept of winning the final one, the numbers on the way there are less relevant than the there. Because winning the 11 and hosting, all historical and Aggie football history. But winning 10, being on the road, and winning the last one is a lot more memorable than anything else that happened, like I just said, which is 11 and hosting. I know, what I'm saying is obvious, and that's kind of the point with him. Now, we'll grab a timeout. He said more. He commented on Reuben Owens and Marcel Reed and new, coordinators and stuff. So I'm going to highlight what stood out to me. At 11:35, you're going to hear, it's not everything. I mean, he spoke for like 30 minutes. But we do our listen-ins, and we've done it all week long, and Monday next week we have more players and so forth. So 11:35, Mike Elko, a listen-in from SEC Media Days. This whole first hour is Maroon and White World. That's the Louie Bellina Show, Thursday on The Zone.
Listen to The Zone at RadioAguilan.com. Thanks to Loyalty Plumbing. The pros at Loyalty Plumbing are ready to serve you, Aguilan. Visit them at LoyaltyPlumbingLLC.net.
It is the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Residential, commercial, industrial services is what they do at CC Electric. We're just getting started. 11:35, listen in. Coach Elko, 12 o'clock, Coach G on the D4 Land Services hotline, A&M legend. 1 o'clock, Rusty Burson, Aggie historian and author. And then 1:35, listen in, Marcel Reed. That rocks. You can text me, your call. Questions, comments, opinions, really anything. 979-693-1150. Light up the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. I got to share this with you. This is Will Stein is still the boss of the week. We don't have all the data in. Still teams today. Head coach Kentucky to be honest, because of me. Why is Kentucky going to win under him, win big? To be honest, because of me. There is some really close. Look, Mike Elko's 2 quotes I shared with you. Look at our trophy case. It's empty. It's top of A tier. It's number 2 behind Will Stein. So Elko's got my second place slot. Now, this is the factoid of the week. It's from Brett McMurphy. This is so incredible. I'm going to frame this and put it up inside the Charles Schwab studio. I mentioned briefly, maybe you weren't here, which hi, hello, and welcome if you made it. Lane Kiffin and LSU kicked off the morning, and Lane Kiffin did a filibuster. He spoke for 18 minutes. I know why. Every question would have been about him and Ole Miss in relation to LSU. There have been no questions about him and LSU effectively. Minimal. Because you've been listening into the coaches here on the Louie Bellina Show. When you go to the main room, you do an opening statement, then you open up to the media. All the media is going to ask them, hey, what level of scumbaggery was it the way you left Ole Miss? Why did you do Ole Miss like that? How hard is it going to be when you play Ole Miss? I mean, stuff he doesn't want to deal with. Because that's actually it's all off-season-y stuff. And he wants to talk LSU football. Of course he does. He doesn't want to talk about how he dealt with it because it was all awful. So what he did was an opening statement that was 18 minutes long. Filibuster. He left. Some coaches have been up their main room for 28 to 31 minutes. No. He spoke for 18, took questions for 4. Was it 4? Effectively round 4 and left. So longest opening in the history of SEC Media Days. I'm not making it up. Brett McMurphy, I told you this is the factoid of the week, but maybe ever for SEC Media Days. SEC Football Media Days record, Lane Kiffin, 2,807 words. 2,800. He's posted this. But then, he also this year, I'm pretty sure, is going to be the shortest total time on the podium of any head coach. Because so far, the ones we've looked at have been 28 to 31, and I think Kiffin's going to be about 24, 25. Not huge, but it's the little things you see. Now, if you have a SEC Football Media Day record of the most amount of words, Kiffin 2,807, hey, who's the shortest? And this is so beautiful that a tear started to form in my left eye, and then I was like, oh, there's just smoke. I'm okay. Mike Leach. You would never have guessed that. Mike Leach always has something to say. One of the greatest, most quotable coaches ever. In 2022, Mike Leach is introduced by Sankey. He gets up to the podium and goes, I appreciate that. Any questions? 5 total words. Oh, how genius is the pirate. I appreciate that. That's his opening statement. Any questions? So they count that to 5 SEC football media days record for shortest opening statement. 5 words, Mike Leach. I appreciate that. Any questions? And the SEC record for the longest opening statement. Oh, Lane Kiffin today. So I just had to share that. I'm sorry. The fun stuff. You got to have fun along the way as we stress out over how many wins is A&M going to have. Oh, boy. I chuckle at that. 5 words. I appreciate that. Any questions? Now back to Mike Elko, who we're only about like 8-9 minutes away from our listening. Other things that caught Lou's attention you can listen for. Because again, with Mike Elko, main room, E-room, pre-media scrum. Oh, and he was on the Feinbaum show. So these things I caught, I don't even remember where half of it's from anymore. He was asked about Reuben Owens III. Will he be the lead back? Will he be running back by committee? The answer was not as I expected. Because, I just thought he'll be lead and, we have depth. No. Training camp will determine a lot of that stuff. Elko doesn't do the every position is open every day thing. I've never heard that in relation to anything else. To be fair, I haven't. So I expected, and why, but also. That's, why, and also. Not training camp will determine a lot of that stuff. Didn't expect that answer at running back. Mike Elko, something fascinating. Just something that didn't click. And I've also not heard as a talking point. But the hiring of Joey Lynch as the full-time quarterback. I understood the concept of someone that Marcel Reed comfortable. But and this is so obvious. This is where I start slapping myself a little. Again, I haven't heard this talked about, really put forth, but quote from Elko himself. This is the quote from Elko himself. I think the biggest advantage is having someone in the building whose entire focus is developing our quarterbacks every single day. That's certainly no disrespect to Coach Klein because he did a phenomenal job, but when you're the offensive coordinator, you got a lot of responsibilities. You're putting together practice plans, scripting plays, organized meetings, and overseeing the entire offense. Having someone completely dedicated to that position allows for more detailed coaching and more consistent growth throughout the room. And it's, again, so obvious. I feel so dumb, but Coach Klein wore multiple hats, probably about 5, not just the 2 we know. And for Coach Lynch, the new quarterbacks coach, 1. And that's the thing. Every day, every hour, every moment, his job is to develop Marcel / the entire quarterbacks room. The impact of that should be obvious and exponential. Kind of got me going, oh yeah, man. That's pretty epic. Remember yesterday, I'm sitting here speculating, escalating about turnovers. Elko was asked about creating more turnovers. He said turnovers are a skill. Creating turnovers is no different than blocking, tackling, catching the football. It's something you have to teach, practice, and develop. So that's your answer. That's my answer. That's our answer. Skill. And they practice it all the time. And I'm going to go back to what I said yesterday. For the secondary specifically, just catch the ball as they had the chance to. Maybe they're just a bad hand secondary that's super athletic and talented, but catch the balls you had a chance to. I told you the 2 mic drop, the ones that the whole world are going to repeat. But this is the most fascinating one to me. He was asked about the perception of Marcel Reed as a passer. Didn't see this answer. He had quite I guess that'll be about the 3rd answer I didn't see coming. On the perception of Marcel Reed as a passer, I actually think the narrative around Marcel is pretty fair now. He's developed into a true dual-threat quarterback, and I think people recognize that. At best, he's an elite quarterback. When Marcel's in that groove fire moment, he's as good as any quarterback in the country. He didn't say that. Sorry, no commentary. Here's what he said. The next step for him is playing at that level consistently, and that's not just on him. That's on all of us. It takes good protection, running the football, catching passes, and executing as an offense. So, pretty fair now. And well, if you listen to the Louie Bellina show, what's been my commentary about Marcel? It's the down to down. It's the down to down. Because he single-handedly kills an entire quarter of a game by himself by missing the first down throw, the second down. And it's all on him. It's not on the receiver. He makes throwaway throws. He kills these little plays along the way. And without talking about turnovers, one thought of turnovers. If he gets better down to down, the whole offense gets so much scarier without worrying about the explosiveness and the number of turnovers. It's the down to down. Because he is an elite quarterback when he goes to his next level, but down to down, down to down. But I thought that was I think the narrative around him is pretty fair now. Did not expect to hear that. Let's grab our timeout. You know why? The less I talk, the more Elko we get to hear. This is the Louie Bellina Show inside the Charles Schwab studio. And I'm going to stick with the Thursday edition. Charles Schwab, it is epic. It is awesome to have local when we're talking about a company like Charles Schwab. How do we get the local? Mark Sim is right here in College Station. His office, his life, his concerns. Local? Yeah, go find out. Go learn more. Schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated. Member, SIPC.
The Houston Astros play on the zone. Thanks to Kelly Berdozer.
The Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Time now. Our listen in. A&M football head coach Mike Elko. We will begin with the Greg Sankey introduction.
Italy experience. Texas A&M University head coach Mike Elko.
You know, that's the thing. They do the Elko, and then they do the intro from Sankey, and then you have that pause till they get to the podium. Here's Coach Elko.
How we doing? Excited to be back here for my third season at SEC Media Day. It's crazy how quickly you go from being in your first year as the rookie to being in your third year as one of the more seasoned veterans in the conference. I guess that's the process of being in the SEC. Want to follow up a little bit on what Greg said about the family. I had a really big summer this summer with my family. I earned a lot of brownie points last year by starting this press conference by giving a shout out to my wife, Michelle. And so I'm going to do the same again this year. Appreciate everything that she does, all the support that she gives, not only to me, but to our program to allow us to do the things to be very successful. I said last year we had a really bad summer, spent the whole summer moving, and so owed her a vacation, and so was actually able to deliver that for her. We actually did one of our first adult vacations going over to Europe and touring across the Mediterranean, so that was really, really exciting. I'm glad Greg cleaned up the idea that my daughter does not play football. She actually cheerleads for football, so I want to make sure I put that out there too so that she hears that clearly from me. Hopefully all of that leads to some karma. You know, we spoke a lot about family last year at this press conference, and we're able to go out and have a pretty good year. Want to be able to go do the same. We've got some big milestones next summer. I'll be turning 50. We'll be celebrating our 25th anniversary, and our last child will be going off to college. And so success this year, while always important in College Station, is probably more important than ever because success during the fall leads to a very happy offseason. It's really cool to be here in Tampa. This is a place that's really special to me over the years. I kind of cut my teeth back in the early 2000s recruiting the I-4 corridor from Orlando over to Tampa, and so it's an area I'm very familiar with. I have a lot of family over on the east coast of Florida, stretching from Jacksonville down to Daytona Beach, and 4 years ago, my mom and dad relocated over into the Daytona Beach area, and so I've spent a lot of time down in Florida. It's exciting to be here. It's a really exciting time to be part of the Texas A&M community, both on and off the field. I want to start by mentioning our new president, Dr. Susan Balabina. Dr. Balabina was elected president in May. Really excited to partner with her as we move forward into this next era of Texas A&M University. I think she'll do a phenomenal job providing leadership not only to our athletics department but also to our university as a whole as we continue to grow the brand of Texas A&M and continue to grow our reach across this great country. We are celebrating as a university our 150th anniversary this year. That celebration kicks off this fall when the student arrives. One of the big events will be our home game this year against Arkansas. And so we're excited to partner with our university to help celebrate 150 years of greatness at Texas A&M. Our athletic department, under the strong leadership of Athletic Director Trev Alberts, just completed one of its most successful seasons in our history. Want to give a special shout out to our women's volleyball coach, Jamie Morrison. Our women's volleyball team captured their first national championship ever this year. That was a great journey to follow and watch, a story of tremendous grit and toughness. Also want to give a shout out to women's tennis coach Mark Weaver, whose team won their second national championship in the last 3 seasons. Again, going on the road into Athens and winning in a very hostile environment to bring home a national championship. I love the culture that we have amongst our head coaches at Texas A&M. I think that's still something that makes college athletics very special, is the community culture that you're able to share and sharing the common experiences and success within your campus. And so exciting that they root for us, exciting to get out and root for them, exciting anytime we get an opportunity to celebrate Aggie success in the athletic scope. I also want to acknowledge Commissioner Greg Sankey. I think he takes a lot of hits here as the commissioner of our conference. I think he has kind of become the forefront for college football in a lot of ways. And sometimes everything that's wrong with college football gets pointed at him. But I think he has done a phenomenal job of leading this conference through an era of historic change. I think we are going through an era where the pace of change is unbelievably rapid. The amount of change and how the game is changing is really unlike any other time in our history. And I think the leadership that he shows, the information that he's been able to provide us as coaches and athletic departments to stay on the front end of that change has really, really been helpful and impactful as our conference continues to have a lot of success. As we start to turn our attention to football, I want to talk about the 3 players that we brought here with us today. I want to start with quarterback Marcel Reed. Marcel hails from Nashville, Tennessee. He returns as our starting quarterback. It's his 4th year in the program at Texas A&M. Really excited for his growth. I think what you saw last year was him really start to scratch the surface of what he's capable of as a starting quarterback. Been really proud of how he's handled this offseason. I think he's remained extremely humble. I think his work ethic has been phenomenal. I think he has put a lot of time in to become the quarterback that he's capable of becoming, and I'm really excited for what he's going to do this fall on the field. I also think he does a phenomenal job representing our university. His role in the Bryan College Station community, what he's done from a community service effort standpoint. Just recently, he hosted a football camp for youth in the Bryan College Station area that had between 600 and 700 kids at it. Really excited that we were able to bring him here. He was our leading vote getter as a captain, and we like the way he has stepped into that leadership role for this team as we head into the fall. Linebacker Damian Sanford, another one of our captains. He was our 2nd leading vote getter. Damian's a kid I have a ton of history with. I actually reminded him this on the plane coming over here today. He didn't remember this, but as a junior, his team captured a Texas 5A high school state title. They actually did it against College Station High School, which is where both of my boys were attending at the time. And so they went out and they beat College Station for the state title. We offered him at Duke shortly after I got the head coaching job there, actually convinced him to silently commit to us at Duke before really bursting on the scene that spring of his junior year and ultimately settling on an opportunity to go to Texas A&M. He blossomed into one of the best linebackers that I've been able to coach at Texas A&M. Extremely explosive, dynamic blitzer. Really made an impact on games when he became a full-time starter for us last year. and really, really looking forward to what he can do this year. But I think the story that best sums up what kind of kid he is this. Many of you are aware that he had a pretty bad injury during the spring game. That injury required surgery. Committed to getting back as quick as he can. The game was on Saturday. He had surgery on Monday. He got released from the hospital on Tuesday. And when I walked into our end of semester meeting Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., he was sitting in a front row seat. And that was not because we asked him to be there. That was of his own accord. And so I just think he's a tremendous character kid, a tremendous leader. He will get back healthy this year and really go out and blossom on the field. The third player that we brought with us is safety Marcus Ratcliffe. Marcus hails from San Diego, California. Marcus was one of the first kids who committed to us out of the transfer portal when I got hired at Texas A&M, and so it feels as though he's kind of been with us from day one. He's played an integral part in helping build our culture. He's a tremendous leader. He's a tremendous character kid. He's really become one of the better safeties in the conference. We're excited to see what he's able to do out here this year in the fall. A story on him behind the scenes. He's put together one of the most thoughtful charity initiatives I've ever witnessed as a college football player. He created the Mission 312 program, 3 for his jersey number, 12 for the 12th man. It's a mission that helps give money to World War II veterans. And so his organization donates $312 for every turnover that we cause on defense at Texas A&M, and they have raised over $30,000 for Army vets from World War II. And so just a really, really cool kid who's really done some amazing things with his platform and his opportunity to represent Texas A&M. As we turn our chapter away towards the 2026 football season, I think it's important to look back on some of the highlights from 2025. Greg mentioned some of these, but just want to put them into a capsule. 11 wins on the field for the first time in a really long time for our program. First playoff appearance ever. Led the NCAA with 13 players represented at the NFL Combine. Led the SEC with 10 players drafted. Those are the markers of success that we want our program to become known for year in and year out. We've talked an awful lot about at Texas A&M becoming a program that people talk about the success that we have on and off the field, not what we're capable of being. And I think those are the markers year in and year out that we need to be able to complete in order for us to continue on this journey to success. I'm also equally proud of some of the things that we accomplished off the field. A 3.07 yearly GPA, the highest we've had in Texas A&M football history. 69 student athletes, including 58 of our 85 scholarships, over a 3.0 in the spring. Over 500 hours, like Greg said, of community service, but that was made by 90% of our roster participating in some type of charitable work. And so we are continuing on our mission of developing not just elite football players, but elite men who are going to be ready for the world that comes at them when football is over. Also want to take an opportunity to thank the 12th man for their continued support. As Greg pointed out in his opening presser, the SEC averaged 80,000 people at their home games last year. At Texas A&M, we set an attendance record averaging 106,000 people at our home games. That's 103% capacity in our stadium on average. And so they continue to find ways to come out and support this program at unbelievable levels, and I'm forever thankful and grateful for the support that we have in College Station at Texas A&M. As we move into this season, we're excited for year 3. We're excited with the roster that we've put together. We're excited with the competition that we're going to have as we head into fall camp. We know we've got a challenging schedule. Everybody in this league does. As we've added the 9th game, we're playing 5 on the road. That's going to make for big challenges, but those are challenges as a program that we're ready to meet head on. We're excited for the opportunity to go out and compete, to finish at a better clip than we have the last 2 years, and to start bringing trophy and hardware to College Station. And so we're excited for what's ahead. We're excited for the challenges. Thanks for all that you do covering this sport. Thanks, and gig 'em. And we'll open it up for questions from there.
Okay. What we're going to do here on the Louie Bellina Show, all week long, we've been listening to all the coaches the Aggies are going to square off against. And what we do is we listen in to part. Coach Elko, we're going to hear every single word he has to say. That was part 1, his opening statement. And he had a lot to say. That's like 12 minutes. So, at 12:35, Part 2, Mike Elko, SEC Media Days, will be the reporters, the Q&A part of what he had to say. We'll do part 2 at 12:35. Then at 1:35, Marcel Reed. I'm pretty sure I said, I really hope I said, okay, I'm 98% sure I said, it's a very maroon and white day. Aggies took over at SEC Media Days yesterday, day 3. They're taking over the Louie Bellina Show. I'm inside the Charles Schwab studio. The Louie Bellina Show on a Thursday. And I'm absolutely loving it. I'm not sure about you. So Mike Elko, part 2, the Q&A portion will be 12:35. I'll be right back. We got to say goodbye to hour number 1 of the Louie Bellina Show here on The Zone.
Be in the know about the Louie Bellina Show.
In the morning, you are awakened by the twitter of a little bird.
Follow at Louie B1150. That's at Louie B1150.
Follow us on Twitter.
The Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, and community. I kind of wanted to wrap things up. 2 things that caught my attention. I don't know if it was yesterday, today, or yesterday, but from the maroon and white world, all A&M this entire hour. They're not directly tied into SEC Media Days, but 1, CBSSports.com, top 10 wide receiving units in the country for 2026. I was fascinated to know where would they put A&M. You and I, we know A&M's top 2 are probably one of the top 3 wide receiving combos in the country. Ohio State's going to be 1. Texas is 2. So who's number 3 in the country? I think A&M has every argument to be the 3rd best. And that's combo, though. But this is unit. And A&M's depth at wide receiving core beyond just 2 is sneaky, awesome, crazy, good, epic. But like anything else, when we rank, how much does the mid and then even beyond that count when you do strength? It's kind of about the top 2 again. That's how it works. When a strength of a conference, yeah, we're 15 deep. How many natties do you have? How strong is your top 2 or 3? That's the reality. So, where do you think A&M is in the top 10 in the country wide receiving units? They're not top 3. Oregon gets 1. Evan Stewart. And the thing that kills me, they even said it before I get a chance to go, what? They list Evan Stewart again. Remains one of the most talented receivers in college football, though injuries have lived him over the past 2 seasons. He's nothing but potential that's never done it. I know his talent. You know his talent, but, oh, man. Living a long time on that 5-star. And Miami's 2, legit. When you start with Malachi Tony, you don't need a lot. They got the Duke transfer and Cooper Barkley. Josh, they're 3 deep, not 2 deep on the top end. Okay, Texas is 3. Coleman Wingo. And then more from there. But A&M, because that's the world we live in, is 6. I don't think that's an insult. I actually will tell you that if Ashton Bethel Roman picks up this year where he left off the second half of last year, A&M's wide receiving core will finish a lot higher than 6. Because he was a weapon. He didn't just, develop. He was an absolute weapon over the last month and change of last year. Something else I wanted to point out. A&M secondary, Elko said best in the 7 years of his time at A&M. A&M secondary, one of the top in 2, 3 in the SEC, one of the top in the country. They will have challenges because in this top 10 list, the Aggies will square off against Texas at 3. Tennessee is at 4. Think about that. And Alabama's at 9. So A&M secondary, which I think is elite, Elko says the best, and pretty much any top unit ranking we've ever seen, period, at all. A&M's our secondary that we all love already has a matchup against 3 of the best 9. So they need to be because they have the matchups there. So yeah, they need to be. That will be their matchups. You're going to play man on somebody. So in conclusion, they'll have every chance to prove that. They have every chance. They got Texas wide receiving core, Tennessee wide receiving core, and the Alabama wide receiving core to square off against too. I'll be back. Coach G, A&M legend on the Deep Land Services hotline is next.